fundamentals. But this is another build that was hidden because the guys were testing with each other. So.
It's cool to see all the variation and what ideas these players are floating between different practice groups. So with that, 6-0 advances to be 7-2. Dog is 6-3. Still possible for him to advance, but it's looking dicey. We'll keep you guys updated as soon as the round's over. But for now, we're going to jump straight into our second featured match immediately in the stage. It is Chakki versus Ostkaka. And we're coming into here in game number 2 where
what
it
a
looks
board.
like Chakki is up 1-0 up against Ostkaka's Freeze Mage.
Yep, and that board looks pretty nice for Chakki. Double Ragnarok, Slide Lord, and Fire Lord as well. Ostkaka, is he pulling the trigger?
Oh man, he has to hope that the Doomsayer will survive a Ragnarok's hit. Maybe he's even saying, like, you know what, it's okay. If it hits me, the Doomsayer, then at least I don't get my Ice Block popped.
But there's the Stampeding Kodo, though. A great answer to the Doomsayer.
Yeah, that should guarantee an Ice Block pop, assuming Ostkaka has it.
Yeah, so it seems like this game is kind of doomed, even though Doomsayer is getting removed.
Yeah, I would say so, Nish. And I think, taking a look at the lineups, I think Chakki doesn't bring a Shaman. So
what are the bans, though, by the way?
Ostkaka banned Chakki's Warlock, and Chakki banned the Shaman from Ostkaka. So Chakki's getting this far, not even playing a Shaman deck. Really interesting. In fact, Chakki has a Priest, and he's known for playing aggressive decks. And I see the two classes that play the control-heaviest styles. Really interesting stuff here from Chakki as he goes up 2-0 over world champion Ostkaka. 1 game away from being able to push himself into the top 16 guarantee.
Well, you know, a lot of people know Chakki as the aggressive player, but on the other hand, I remember Chakki in the top 8 of DreamHack was it summer when he was playing Control Warrior. So he's this flexible player that can play any deck, and he's also really good with control decks. He just chooses and prefers the aggro decks when they are good in the metagame.
You don't choose the face life.
It's like it chooses you.
Chooses you.
Oh, man.
But yeah, it is pretty surprising. Chakki brings Priest, Warrior, and Paladin. I mean, that screams the most control-heavy lineup that you can bring to this kind of tournament. At least, I mean, maybe the Warrior's a little bit more mid-range centric with Patron or Tempo, but we'll see. For now, he's still doing wonders with this Paladin deck. Now, Ostkaka, he's been talking up this Druid deck. He says this Druid deck is amazing. He feels like it's one of the best decks in the format. And he's got interesting stuff like Thanos in it already, so I'm pretty curious to see how far he can go with it. Can it bring him back from the depths of 0-2?
Yeah, I want to see that deck as well because he was really confident with it. And Druid right now is in a very weird spot. Like, people try the Fundrill decks, people try the ramp decks, but nothing really shines that much. And Cthulhu decks, we agree they are not the best. Like, they're
not bad.
They're not bad,
like,
definitely.
You know, they're definitely
all right.
a solid deck, but it's nowhere near the strength, the power level of like a Shaman or even the Zulak or
Warrior.
the Rogues, the Warriors.
Like, basically, if you want to play Cthulhu, you definitely choose like Cthulhu Warrior or like Cthulhu Reno Warlock because those fit the best.
It's a great starting deck, though, for people who are still getting into Standard. They're like, oh, I heard Hearthstone has this new expansion I haven't played in a while. What deck should I play? I think Cartoon Druid is very easy to build and pretty straightforward to pilot for your win conditions. So I recommend anyone who's watching Hearthstone and they're watching this broadcast, they want to start getting into Standard. Cartoon Druid's a really good starting point. Yeah,
it's fun to play as well. And definitely, everybody got a free Cthulhu, so you can try it in a Druid deck.
Yeah. All right, so it looks like it is a Druid deck with N'Zoth in it. Now, that is cool.
Yeah, this is something we haven't seen. We've seen a lot of Druid builds. People tried it, but we haven't seen this one yet.
People say Druid without Force of Nature Savage War can compete, Nimsh. They've been saying that for a long time, just because Druid's removal has been so bad, and even though Innervate can help get you tempo, cards become so efficient at dealing with stuff that doesn't even matter. However, when you still have the ability to ramp as consistently as Druid, and you can hit a reasonable threat like Cairn on turn 3, it's still really difficult for your opponent to deal with.
Yeah, the perspective of those decks is so much different because there is so much removal for Chakki, right? But we've discussed it in the previous match. You can always have this equality in Consecration, and Ostkaka doesn't have those tools in his arsenal, but if he ramps up and if he plays his best minions in the spots where Chakki naturally doesn't have enough mana to deal with those things, it might look good for Ostkaka. But for now, I think this matchup is good for Chakki overall. I haven't seen enough of this Ostkaka deck.
I mean, we've seen enough of the ramp Druid with Dog versus 6-0 where to understand what's happening to the Druid. Just completely nullified. And everything that Druid tries to put out, Paladin just goes, no, stop. You know, whatever you do, Peacekeeper, humility.
Pyromancer quality, consecration.
Yeah, and no secrets will be known at this point. Like, they just keep dropping, keep revolt them on. Doesn't really matter at that point. And Ostkaka's already introduced with an interesting crossroads here. He can go for the Wild Growth, the guaranteed ramp. He also can just innervate out something as well. Wild Growth, what it allows you to do is innervate out the Ancient of War in the event that your Darnassus Aspirant dies. But if it doesn't, then you can just play the Cairn and then potentially save that innervate for even a better play later on.
Yeah, I think it makes sense because Innervate would just, like, Innervate Kern would just be countered by one of the cards you've mentioned, like Humility, Aldor, Peacekeeper, and with Wild Growth, he kind of ensures a bit of a better curve. Like, he still needs to pick up those minions to be able to follow up, but he might have a chance right there if he gets something else like, let's say, Forbidden Enchant if he plays it.
The cool thing is that for 3 mana, Paladin doesn't really have many ways to kill stuff. This is why I know a few players were like, why don't I just stick Rallying Blade in a control Paladin deck sometimes just so I have earlier game plays to remove the board.
I love the card. It really works in a control Paladin.
Yeah, but I mean, in this scenario, you cut the Rallying Blade so you can play even greedier versions of Paladin for a tournament like this. Because this is one of the most heavy-handed decks or hands that you'll have outside of just having N'Zoth too. You have both Rags, you have Sylvanas, and you're not playing them for a long time.
Oh man, I really like the Ragnar's the Light Lord. When it got released, a lot of people thought it's a joke because this is not in World of Warcraft. This is something totally new and Hearthstone-like. Live Insect and
yeah, it's true. Even though even his voice line is kind of a meme, right? Like, you don't really take it too seriously. One thing you should take seriously though is that Ostkaka has kept all of his ramp and he's playing Cairn before your opponent's turn 4. And he had flexibility to be able to use up to 8 mana that turn. It's just really scary what this Druid deck can do to get ahead of its opponents.
Absolutely, and we see the Twilight Summoner as well. So when the N'Zoth hits the board, there should be enough cards that can actually come back. So sometimes the problem with when you play a Paladin or a Warrior versus N'Zoth decks, you need double removal because the first N'Zoth is bringing a lot of stuff that we deal with, but then you have Bane, you have a 5/5, you have a lot of stuff that actually happens after you clear for the first time.
I'm laughing only because he drew another Wild Growth, and it's like he pretty much has all the ramp that he needs. He actually just needs minions at this point.
Yeah, do you need that second Wild Growth? Actually, it's probably bad in this spot.
Yeah.
But I guess he will trade it for a card in 3 turns.
I have a question, Nimsh. Would you play the Ancient of War uprooted at all, just to challenge your opponent? Okay, I was thinking he could play it uprooted and push into it, but you know what? He's playing Humilities. And the reason why is because you saw already a Peacekeeper, but there's really no point to it. If it gets Humility, then at least it still has the taunt as a 1/10.
Yeah, but
you know, it's always fun to imagine a world champion uprooting on elimination match.
I think you definitely need to consider it in some points.
Yeah, you definitely thought about it for sure.
Sometimes there's just no removal for your card.
Yeah.
Big Game Hunter is not being played in this deck, so...
I just wanted to see it one time. I agree that this is a much more consistent play, but if you're a champion of the world, you're also a champion for the people.
Absolutely.
In my opinion.
I think, like, if we would be watching Admirable here instead of Ostkaka, he would definitely
call it a misplay and just, like, start blasting him for 5 minutes about it. I mean, I have seen Admirable play a lot of Druid, and he has been uprooting a ton.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me if he ended up doing that. And Sylvanas being picked up makes N'Zoth much better.
Yeah, really good draw there.
You actually don't mind playing Sylvanas here to let the trade happen, and then you can play N'Zoth again. The big problem against a N'Zoth against Paladin in general, though, is the fact that they have quality and they can deal with the board no matter how big it gets. I know control Paladin mirrors. You have to always, always, always save one equality. The moment you run the second equality and they haven't played N'Zoth, you lose, period. So it's always one of those really dicey things. Like, you just try to bait it out before your opponent can respond to it.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, in most N'Zoth decks, N'Zoth happens on turn 10. So by turn 10, you draw a lot of cards with Acolytes of Pain, so you have a really good chance to get at equality. But if Nizal happens on your turn 8 or something, and it brings stuff because we see Kern, we see Twilight Summoner, Sylvanas, if all those things die and Ostkaka has a spot to play Nizal around turn 8, we don't see equality in the hand of Chakki. Ostkaka might go for that, and that board might be really hard to answer.
Okay, well, I mean, he doesn't have the equality, you're right. For now, he can just play 6-mana minions. If he plays Sylvanas, it seems pretty decent, although you're giving your opponent initiative to deal with Sylvanas.
I like keeping Sylvanas. I mean, Sylvanas here is alright, because you might have a chance to steal Kern, or like even Twilight Summoner. But overall in those matchups, if you are able to Pyromancer equality and play Sylvanas at the same time and steal something good, that's a bit better.
Okay, well...
that's a ramp deck. A lot of ramp.
That is a lot of ramp and not enough minions to play. He's got 12 mana this turn. I think what he can consider doing is even... No, I don't like that at all. I was thinking about trading into stuff and then playing Innervate N'Zoth. This is a very dicey situation.
Well, he still has to trade to be able to protect his minions.
Right.
So that N'Zoth actually pulls them out.
Yeah, so what would happen was he would trade the 1-1, the 1-5, and the 5-1 into Sylvanas, then play N'Zoth, which...
Does he have to play N'Zoth? You might actually play Sylvanas afterwards.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, at that point, it feels like you're giving a lot.
I'm not sure I like it, actually, giving one of the minions that will not come back after this. Oh, but you will be able to steal it back in a way.
Perhaps that's his logic. Yeah, you have the 1-1s go in, and then, or you kill the 1-1, then use the 5-5 afterwards for Sylvanas to trade into something very nicely.
Yeah, but this 1-1 will actually die as well, so you will not be able to bring back Twilight Summoner with N'Zoth.
Yep, kind of annoying. It's one of the death throws that's really good against equality because it summons a 5-5, carrying another one that's really strong too. But if he's playing one Twilight Summoner, I imagine that Ostkaka's playing a second one. So Chakki now has the equality in hand, meaning that no matter how big the board balloons, he can answer it.
And by now, Chakki is probably aware of N'Zoth being a huge possibility after seeing all the spell cards.
You don't play. You definitely play Sylvanas in like a ramp style. You can even justify Karen, but Twilight Summoner, something's fishy down there.
Yeah, it shows up, like, definitely. Okay, so Chakki's just going for card draw. He still has a lot of health. He doesn't have to rush. The 5-5 is contesting Sylvanas, so he's in a good spot there.
Yeah, precisely. This is Chakki's setup to say, you know what, I'm not going to extend onto the board too far, and even if you hit into this 5-5 and you get to clear the board, you know, it's like I don't lose anything.
Oh boy, Yasharj.
Dude, this is okay. So I think Yasharj is one of my favorite legendaries in the set because of how much people underrate this card. It is. Remember how people were like saying how Mad Science is just kind of like crazy? This card is Mad Scientist every single turn. Although it is 10 mana versus 2 mana.
Yeah, but
it's a 10-10 as well. You have to deal with it.
Froden, there's a couple of things we have to consider here. We are watching the world champion being being the first guy that's televised to play 2 Old Gods in one deck.
That is true. Oh, as far as we know.
As far as we know.
Maybe there is a third, but I highly doubt it.
It's still epic.
It's really cool. I mean, at this point, I love playing N'Zoth just to grab more board control, force out the equality from your opponent. Oh, Darnaz Disaster comes back. That's pretty funny. That's a little bit awkward. You get to only play with 9 mana the next turn. Normally, it doesn't matter in a very late game scenario, but you did innervate out that N'Zoth. And Chakki is going to be forced to respond to this. He can equality consecrate.
Yeah, that's 6 mana, so he'll be left with 2, and he will be able to maybe Humility Bane that comes back from Kern.
Yes.
That's probably the play.
That could be it. He also can just take the damage anyways because it's Ramp Druid and then Hero Power. It's up to him. You do have 2 Humilities though, so I think you want to finally start using it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like you're right, definitely. Especially because you have Forbidden Healing and you have a weapon as well, so you don't really need to consider. Like he goes for it.
I think both plays are like perfectly fine. But you do have 2 Humilities, and next turn you probably want to start using like cards like Rag and other stuff, and you might need a humility, something else too. In
Your
this case, you might need the most powerful old god of them all.
Ostkaka's
Right.
Rage Unbound.
Is that actually lore correct?
The Yasharj,
He's like the most powerful minion. Right?
he's the biggest. Like, Yasharj was basically in Azeroth. Like, when he got pulled, Azeroth started to, like, breaking apart.
There you go.
So he is probably the most powerful, yes.
And he is a big dude because every single turn he's going to be pulling a minion and thinning the deck and being able to increase the board presence. The only thing that I'm really upset is that Yasharj doesn't, like, if it pulls Emperor Thorson, it doesn't activate Thorson. Or if it pulls Rag, it doesn't activate Rag. That makes me sad.
But it's still a big minion. And right now, Chakki is facing this Yasharj, and he still has humility on our Peacekeeper, but he doesn't have a way to remove it from board. So the effect will trigger again. Unless he actually plays Ragnaros, backs into
Yeah, plays Rag and he hopes that it lands.
Well, but it's still at 110, it doesn't kill it. It's kind of like spectacular.
Maybe he can play like Ragnar's Lightlord if he wants to just have a more resilient minion. Like Rag could be like hitting anything, hit face, and kind of get him in trouble.
What if Ostkaka plays Silence in this deck? Can it fit in? Like
He did.
Oh, he actually did,
pulled
yeah.
a Spellbreaker.
We had a Spellbreaker.
Yeah.
You've seen it. Tanking 8 damage. And 1 to your charge. Small old god.
All right, well, I guess looks like Ostkaka's going to have to cycle first here. Wild Growth not being the most useful thing, but Yasharj pulling another minion could be really powerful.
I like how Chakki is noting like everything.
Oh, that is an Emperor Thorson.
Every card. Not the best, but it's a 5/5 still. You can draw a card.
Yeah, I think you want to draw a card and evaluate. You might even have the mulch or something to kill off the Rag.
Big Game Hunter, maybe, possibly.
That would be pretty crazy, just to whip out the random Big Game Hunter just to shut down your opponent's Rag. Okay, so he's going to reduce the cost of his minions, or sorry, his hand and his spells.
There's another minion.
Another Danasa's Aspirate. These have been pretty weak overall. I mean, I feel like there's so many strong minions in Ostkaka's deck, and they just happen to pull the weakest ones.
Have you noticed the animation, by the way? I love the Yasharj animation. It's like
the eyeballs.
Yeah, the eyeballs on the deck, like looking for a minion.
Yeah, cool is one way to phrase it.
It's alright.
It's a little bit more creepy for me.
Oh, okay. You like the creepy stuff.
It's a little bit too crawly. Chakki also has to figure out if he wants to prioritize reducing the damage of this Thorson, because playing Cairn into a 5/5 is... I mean, 5/5s are the reason Cairn got phased out in the first place. Shield Maiden, Lotheb, all those cards really muscled out Cairn.
Absolutely.
Not to mention the meta got really fast.
Chakki is in a great spot here. Like he's seen most of the threats that Ostkaka can throw at him.
Oh,
he hasn't seen
now?
He hasn't seen this one yet.
Oh, is he though?
Ostkaka still has a couple of cards in his deck, but you know this stuff is gone.
He's got the only one he needs, Nimsh.
Is it enough? Oh man, there's
it's enough, man. You just have to play Rag and Hero Power down and just let Rag face off against the other Rag.
Do you kill the 3/3 or do you just kill the 1/1 here? All right.
I feel young again. Someone somehow turned back the clock. It's Rag versus Rag coin flips once again. And the person who comes out ahead of shooting the other Rag is going to be in a pretty good spot.
Oh man, if he hits it, he got it!
There's a world champion.
There's actually no way
here shooting down his opponents.
No way to remove it for now.
Oh man, Chakki is pissed.
Do you just play Cairn to be able to like sustain the Ragnaros hits and pick equality or whatever else he can get? Like Ragnaros is really troublesome for Paladin overall. It's like
you're right, man. Ragnaros is really problematic.
If you reduce its power to 1, it doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, you can humiliate it, and then nothing will happen. You'll just keep shooting these 8 damage fireballs.
All right, so Doomsayer, another good target for Ragnaros to hit. So basically what Chakki is doing here, he's trying to have more minions on board to be able to bait Ragnaros into hitting one of them. But there is there is a swipe and there is a charge, so that's 8.
No, he's getting Hero Power as well, so he can actually set up a 33% chance to win.
Yep.
If he drew the claw, swipes the face, and Hero Powers are down, he might win if Rag hits the face. If it hits the Doomsayer, that's also pretty good.
I think he do it.
Is he going for it? No, he's going for the guaranteed. Okay, that's also fine. I'm not against it, but he's going for the guarantee.
Well, like, honestly, Chakki just showed Ostkaka that he cannot deal with this Ragnaros. Just played a couple of minions. I'm like, I cannot do anything. Just please hit my minions.
What he can do is die. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's catching the fireballs. He has Dakota, but no way to reduce the attack of the Ragnaros.
So, do you heal yourself for 20? Or do you still continue playing minions? I think it's risky.
Oh, man.
If you go Cairn and Forbidden Healing for 4, then like you're at 15, so you're not in risk, and you have 2 minions. You can kill the cat with the trade. So I think it's actually fine, like Cairn and Forbidden Healing here.
I don't like tempting fate by not healing, so I do like healing this turn to some degree, whether it's Ragnaros or whether it's Forbidden Healing.
Man, it's so close. Like, if you have like another spell, he will be able to actually kill Ragnaros with an attack and Pyromancer.
All right, he's going to play the Ragnaros Light Lord, go up to 15. He does have 2 targets, which Rag can shoot. And it's going to force his opponent to hero power as well. I like this.
Can Ostkaka actually kill another Ragnaros?
He's a world champion for a reason, Nimsh.
So his Ragnaros is better?
Let me show you why in about 20 seconds. But first, he's going to draw and see if he can draw something. Oh my goodness, that's a mulch.
Yeah, that's actually really good. That's really good.
That's really good, because now he doesn't have to worry about whether or not it hits the Rag, because it would trade perfectly into it. Let me be clear. Ostkaka is all in on this Rag, and if this Rag is not not going to win the game, he is going to lose.
Yeah. All hopes of Ostkaka.
That's like the second time I've seen the Zealous Initiate be pulled off the mulch.
Well,
something's weird, man.
You're right. It's actually a bad card. But what's great is Ragnaros, and it hits face.
To the face again.
There's a consecration now.
Still no ability to shut down that Rag, and Chakki's getting increasingly more patient as each turn goes on. It's like, how do I deal with this card?
Oh my god. And like, even this Twilight Summoner right now is a problem.
Yeah, it's true, because it's a really big looming threat. Not right now, but it's one of those annoying things that you just have to deal with. And there's a 1 in 5 chance, 1 in 4 chance.
Would be great. Oh, Thunderel. Thunderel doesn't do much.
Nah, it's just a minion.
How many cards does he even have in his deck? But yeah, this is the moment.
Many.
So you said 25%, right?
Yeah, 1 in 4 to
25%.
just win the game. Of course, there are some bad scenarios. But let me show you why this guy won the 2015 World Championship. I have a weird feeling that this game might be over right now. But even if it doesn't, it's still a pretty good spot as long as he hits like the 4-5 on the face. He's got 50-50 chance for Godakum. Oh no! That Silverhand recruit took one for the team.
All right, so the game is still here. Chakki's alive.
Well, he finally can kill Rag.
Yes.
That's like the positive news, but the negative news is that he's...
Isn't he still... No, he's not dead.
He's not dead. He has to give up a lot in order to do it.
So what's the best play here? Like, you definitely need to Forbidden Healing this turn, right?
Yeah.
Can you use Consecration with Pyromancer and Forbidden Healing?
Yeah, that heals you for 8, and...
Can you clear?
Yeah. He's just going to rely on...
Is he just going to leave Ragnaros alive?
Rag missing again?
I mean, he has to 1-1s from the hero power.
Balls on this guy. Wait, but the thing is, he also has to. He's also going to kill his own Pyromancer if he does this, and he's killing Cairn too.
Well, he cannot kill Ragnaros right now.
Oh man.
So you just go for the dudes.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure about this. Okay, so he just plays his Pyromancer. Says, screw it. You know what? Forget it.
This is risky.
Stop trying to make it complicated.
If there's a swipe or a cat, like there's 3 damage, 4 damage actually. So a second Druid of a Claw, I think we've seen one. Mire Keeper.
All right, I mean, it's a minion.
It's a minion, yeah.
And you don't have to even go face with it to hope that you clear the board. You can just hero power down on 1/1. You can trade off
you want to kill the Pyromancer.
Into the Pyromancer.
Yeah. Definitely need to kill the Pyromancer.
And once again, a 1 in 4.
25%. And I've seen Ostkaka actually hit the Stone Cold Totem when he was about to lose the game. That was 25%. He did it. Can he do it again?
I mean, at this point, Ostkaka's gotten some good rolls, but he's also gotten some rolls that's been stalling the game out. And ideally, he just wants to finish the game here. Because remember, a second equality can still bring Chakki back in this game and to the point where his opponent can't actually do anything.
Absolutely. And Chakki still has an Dissolve as well.
All right. I like as well taking out the first body of Cairn.
So 20% to win.
Oh, okay. So this is what he prepared for just in case that outcome.
And there's a Doomsayer, which is a blank. It doesn't do anything this turn.
Well, it can absorb a rag hit.
Yeah, that's probably, well, it's either absorbs the rag hit or you die.
So that might be the scenario, because now Chakki can play his second Kodo, or he can play Consecration. Just set it up so that way Rag has the best chance of missing.
He cannot kill the rag, right? Yeah, he only has 7.
Yeah, I thought he had enough mana to play Kodo and Doomsayer here, but he can just hero power and play Doomsayer as well.
And another chance to just win the game with Ragnaros.
Yep. Can Chakki magically avoid Ragnaros for a few more turns and turn this game around? Or
if he does,
is he just going to sit in the fire of Ragnaros and miss the fuse? You tell me.
If he does, I'm just going to start calling him Neo.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the Silverhand Recruits could be the one dodging this entire time. And at this point, Ostkaka's going to really hope for some swipe or something. Chakki heals just in case he's out of that range, and that's a really good play. He could get more value off of it, but he's going to try to stay alive.
That's 2 points of damage.
That still can be the game-ending damage.
I should probably go for it because, oh man.
Living Roots to the face, hero power, set your opponent down at 8.
That's probably the best target. Like, if you just create two 1/1s, it doesn't matter at all. Like, they would just die, and then Chakki will create more dudes of his own. So, giving yourself a chance to hit face with that Ragnaros after all those turns is set up, right?
It feels like you only do that if you feel like your chances of winning this game without that play is less than is more than 1 in 6. Because right now, if he does the Living Roots, he has to hit hit his opponent, which is a 1 in 6 outcome. But if he feels like his percentage to win the game is higher, if he just drags out the game, then he goes for the Living Roots play. The nice thing is if Rag misses, at least it kills his opponent's board as well.
Yeah.
Right? It kills the Kodo, kills the 1/1s. So at least he still has that opportunity.
All right.
Oh, I see attack to the face.
Yeah, there is an attack to the face.
Okay. Wait, I get it. He's gonna attack, and if Rag hits the face anyways, he can Living Roots it. Oh, it misses. So the Doomsayer does activate, and it's a brand new game.
Oh, Edric the Pure. We've seen it in Tides of Time deck, but this is a very interesting situation because Chakki actually ran out of cards at the moment. Like, he still has Nizov in his deck, he still has Tyrion. So overall, I'm still favoring Chakki. And I don't know what Ostkaka has in his deck. Like, we've seen so many threats. But something like whatever he plays, actually, Chakki has a way to deal with it, right?
I mean, Eodric is not bad. It is a 3/7 minion.
Yeah.
Your opponent will be facing 5 power on board because the hero power. That's a reasonable board. You know, I don't know if you want to really save it too much.
I will keep it because there is a possibility of another big minion.
What if you draw the other way to remove with the Kodo, though? I guess it's just because it's more mana.
Yeah, there's Ancient of War. And what about the Forbidden Ancients? They might still be there.
It's true. Forbidden Nation also might be extremely relevant here.
But then it doesn't really work with your charge that well, so he might not be playing them. 5/10.
Yeah, the Ancient of War here is almost certainly going down. I think Ostkaka is weighing whether or not he should uproot this or root this.
Well, if he
and there's only one answer to that question, Nimsh.
Yeah, he can actually kill one of the 1/1s, and only one card in Chakki's hand.
I mean, if your opponent doesn't have a way to remove,
you just win.
You might just kill him with the uprooted Ancient of War. I personally like to see that. I mean, I don't blame if he plays as a 5/10, because in the end, this game's coming down to the very final moments of, like, which card can you maximize its value. And in terms of sheer value, a 5/10 is better than a 10/5 if you want to trade a lot.
Yeah, but 10/5 makes sense if you want to win the game, and sometimes you need to make those risks. So I feel it's a 10/5. It's an uproot.
What's it going to be? He's burning out to the rope. He's got to choose. Oh, okay.
It's rooted. Forbidden Healing, back to full.
Okay.
Next turn. Yeah.
Pretty much.
I don't see Ostkaka coming back from here, actually.
Well, I mean, hold on. Just wait till we see another bomb, perhaps. He might even pick up a way to draw cards. Remember, the deck like this might have Nourish in it and be able to draw more cards.
That's a card draw.
Card draw.
It's not the best one, but it's something.
I wonder if he... I wonder if he just goes like all face where he starts controlling. Okay, he starts controlling the 1/1s a little bit. Makes sense.
I'm just still thinking about this Tyrion and Nizov in Chakki's deck. It's just going to come at any moment now.
Yeah, but if it doesn't, then you just play Forbidden Healing and go back out of range.
You can even
that is
Pyromancer for
clear.
Healing, yeah.
You can heal up to 16.
It is a kind of like a winning.
That's pretty much like putting him in the driver's seat for the remainder of this game, unless Ostkaka can somehow draw 2 cards that'll push him back in. We're coming down to the final cards remaining.
So he has what? 2 more cards in the deck. That's some removal. Where were those cards when when Chakki was dying?
Oh, and that's it. Ostkaka concedes, realizing he's out of gas, and Chakki has weathered the storm to advance to the top 16 guaranteed. A job well done. And what a crazy game, man.
Absolutely.
I was looking at that Druid deck, and everyone was saying how it's going to be cool, but Ramp Druid's been slightly disappointing this tournament.
They took so long.
Yeah.
I'm really impressed by the Paladin. Like Erduk Dipper is the first time we actually see him being making an impact in the competitive aspect of Hearthstone. It's really cool to see all those cards that were released some time ago, but now they have the players in the starting forward. So congrats to Xixo and Chakki. They both advanced top 16.
Yeah. For me, the most important part, it was so much fun. Those decks are so much fun. The Nizov Paladin and the Ostkaka Ram Druid as well.
I'm sorry, dude. The way you said it, man. It's like you're trying to convince me that it was fun. Yeah.
Well, I'm convinced.
Yeah, it was just fun. It's just, like, well, we're going on a field trip and we're going to the corn maze and it's gonna be so much fun. And I'm like,
just standing there.
It was, yeah. It was like I was there too, man. Completely agree, though. It's been a really fun time so far. Cool stuff to see, again, Chakki being able to take the series, not just playing the Paladin decks, but remember, he has Priest in his lineup. He doesn't have Shaman. He doesn't even have Rogue. Chakki doesn't have Shaman or Rogue, and yet he's going to the top 16. This is really interesting, and in fact, he's coming out here for a quick interview, so let's sit down and talk, or stand up, rather, so that way I look like the shortest man on Earth. Because Chakki is also extremely tall. What's up, Chakki?
Hey. How are you doing, man?
Thank you for slouching
Congratulations
and already making this better.
For the top 16. Basically, you secured that. Can you tell us something about how you get here to this point? Like, who are your notable opponents and, just something, was there something peculiar in this tournament?
Yeah, my 2 losses were to Tides of Time. He beat me with his Freeze Mage, basically just kind of 3-0. It was a 3-1, but the Freeze killed me. And then I lost to my friend Yoitz Flow, who's playing the same lineup as me, basically. And he 3-0'd me with Priest.
Oh,
and then otherwise, I don't really remember all my victories. I mean, yeah, played a lot of Control. I think I was the longest match, like 5 rounds out of the 9. So it's been long days.
It took some time, and it was 9 rounds of Swiss. So it took 2 days to get here to this point, but you have to be pretty happy about the top 16, right?
Yeah, definitely. This is kind of my goal coming in. I mean, top 8 would be great, and anything further would be awesome, obviously. But, yeah, it's good to have a nice result.
So, Chakki, you're mostly known as a very aggressive player that goes for face. But at DreamHack tournaments, you mostly play Control. Like, what's up with that?
Well, I mean, it just so happens like the meta's always changing right before DreamHack. I guess really good timing for their events because everything's kind of new. But with Standard, I mean, basically the metagame shifted a lot. I mean, Leopardome got nerfed, Night Trickler got nerfed.
Arcane Golem died.
Arcane Golem died for our
Literally
sins.
got deleted.
What's his card? What's his card?
And so yeah, me and some friends tested out decks and kind of came to this weird conclusion about 2 days ago, which involves Priest.
And no Shaman and no Rogue.
Yeah, there's no Shaman, no Rogue.
It's ballsy.
They wanted me to play Rogue, but I didn't feel comfortable enough with it, so I just brought Zoo.
Sure.
And I think Zoo is like 9-0, 9-1 maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
What's
That's
that?
impressive.
Zoo is crushing.
Yeah.
What was the strategy actually to confuse your opponents in the ban stage so that they don't know what to ban because you don't play the most 2 powerful decks or like 2 most common decks?
Ostkaka actually said when we were telling each other our classes, he said he didn't know what to ban, and he's like, "Can I just ban nothing?" And he ended up banning Zoo, which was probably smart. But Nizov Paladin ended up kind of winning. I got a little lucky in game 1, which I don't think was streamed, but it was versus Shaman, which is kind of a bad matchup, and I had kind of all the answers. I had Doomsayer on 2, Wild Pyromancer quality on 4, so kind of bad luck for him in there, and then it just carried the rest of the series.
Well, he had some luck with the Ragnar's shots, right?
Yeah, good old eSports. That was definitely interesting.
Oh,
seeing
you missed the
crowd.
one that mattered the
Every
most.
time the crowd, I think they were cheering for him, man. They're like, oh. Please hit a 1-1.
Yeah, well, it's a blast from the past, literally. Like, Ragnaros came back to this metagame, and it seems like the game is kind of back to the spot like it was in 2014, right?
Oh, that was the game. It was decided by Rags very often.
Conceal Miracle.
Now
As
there's
well
two
as
of them.
drawing the big game hunter.
Game
which
2
is
was
yet to
kind
be
of
seen.
decided by the other rag. So.
Yeah. pretty much. Well, congratulations, Chakki. Now you're through to the round of 16. I mean, that's pretty much it here. So do you want to have anything final say before we let you go?
No, just shout out to my team. Shout out to the guys I practice with, Nostum, Frank, Flo, Brian the Rat Cortade, and anyone that I missed. But yeah, and thanks to everyone that's been supporting me. I've had a lot of people come up to me and just say, hey, get a picture with me, even get autographs. So it's great to have fans out here, and nice to have an American event for once.
Yeah,
Feels
not
good.
have to travel 14 hours and get jet lagged, right?
14 sounds
Nice
good.
stuff.
Still better than free flights.
Well, these guys now know, right? Because
16
Yeah.
hours.
yeah, they're coming to the
Correct.
other side.
We're good.
But,
We're good.
guys,
You're
this
coming on
is
the side
not-
with more freedom.
Yeah, but this is not the end of the day. We are just done with the Swiss format, and now we'll be switching to top 16, and that will mean that we'll have 4 more games from the top 16. We'll have the standings, I guess, soon. So we'll have the pairings. We can show them then after the break on the stream. Talk about the new players that got to the top 16. Talk about the whole top 16 because it's something that I would like to emphasize on because it's a huge event. 175 players, and only top 16 will play in the day 3. So I guess that's it for now. We'll wait for all the matches to finish and get standings and talk about that. So don't go anywhere. This is DreamHack Austin. See you guys after the break.